Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with commentary editor Conn Carroll. And Conn, let's talk about the January 6th committee hearings. You know, Democrats have been sort of openly cheering the prospect that what we learn from these committees might change their midterm prospects. Obviously, millions of people have tuned in. Have you seen or maybe read anything from those committees so far that you think would support that wish?
Sure. No, I don't really think there's anything new. I don't think we discovered anything new. But what really struck me was not necessarily what was happening in the committee, but what was happening outside the committee. So when you look at, for example, the chairman's opening statement, Benny Thompson from Mississippi, who, by the way, voted against certifying Georgia's Bush election. Mm-hmm. So he's, kind of outwards on that issue. But in his opening statement, he said that there was no issue that was more important than combating the lie that Trump won the 2020 election. Which, okay, fine, He also called the January 6th riot and everything that happened afterwards, a threat to the Constitution and our democracy. Which, okay, you can believe that, but the problem is that you then look across the country, and in 4 or 5 states across the country, Democrats are actually supporting Republicans who push Trump's big lie, and I just don't think the Democrats can have it both ways on this. Look, the January 6th is either a existential threat to democracy, or it's just another political issue that you can play with. And they can't have it both ways. The
strategy there is that you write about in a piece for the Examiner is that Democrats think maybe some of these Trump-aligned candidates who embrace the 2020 election lies might be easier to beat in general election contests. That's a strategy that has played out favorably for Democrats in the past, but in general, is that a good strategy, or could that really backfire?
So the, quintessential example of this is 2014. Mm-hmm. This is a wave Republican year. There's a whole bunch of Republicans doing great. But out in Missouri, you have Senator Claire McCaskill, who actually spends her own election money supporting a far-right Republican, Todd Akin. He wins his primary, and then he makes some bad comments about rape. And she ends up winning her race in a wave election year and saves her seat. And so for many Democrats, that's a model for how they can save a wave election year for the other party, is to find the most extreme example, the most extreme Republican, actually support that Republican, hope they win their primary, and then try to beat them. So there's a number of cases throughout the country where Democrats are trying to do that.
And finally, some Democrats are pushing for more structural reforms to come out of their findings from the January 6th committee, particularly getting rid of the Electoral College. Do you think that they will be successful in that?
I don't know if that's even their goal. I mean, they had 4 or 5 Republicans on board for reforming the Electoral Count before the hearings ever happened. Nothing that's going on in this hearing is about that law or about changing that in any way. It's completely unnecessary. If you wanted to change the Electoral Count Act, and I think a strong case could be made, then you could have done that months ago. There's no reason to do this hearing and then try to make that an issue.
Well, Conn, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.